good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing fine this night. I hope you had a good day of trucking today. I hope that everything that you did went real successful today. Hey, I was up there in the ATL today, and it was a mess up there. There was a lot of wrecks, accidents, a lot of backups. We struggled to get up and get back, but hey, we got back, and that was the point of the day, is to get back and walk through that door to see our family. Every time that we get back to see our families, hey, you can call that a successful day. I'm going to bring my co-host on here, Steve Brand, and let him greet everybody tonight. And then we'll get started with our show. We got a special guest tonight. Her name is Kayleigh McCall. She drives for Snyder Transportation. And we're going to let her come on here and tell her story about how she got into trucking. She's got a very interesting backstory about that. So, but let Steve come in here and get a few words in.
Good evening, Steve. Everybody. What's going on, Tim?
Doing good, Steve. Doing good. Had a good day of trucking, man. How about yourself?
That was a good day. It was a good day. Got a little traffic in Cincinnati, but hey, that's normal.
Yeah.
I-75 in Kentucky. They're trying to get all the blacktopping done before next week. You know, the big holiday weekend coming up. And all that, but it was a good day. It was a safe day. No blowed out tires, you know.
Hey, I tell you what, speaking of those blowed out tires, those gators have been on the road since it's heated up. Those tires are heating up. Hey, drivers, let me remind you to make sure those tires are inflated properly. If you can make sure that those tires are inflated properly, hey, that's going to help you save some of those recaps from coming apart. But, hey, y'all watch out for them gators on the road. I've kind of dodged a few of them this week myself.
Exactly. Good evening, Danny Smith. How's everything in South Carolina, my friend? Scott Post, good evening, buddy.
Yep.
But, Tim, you look a little different, Tim.
Hey, I'm at the beach, brother. I'm at the beach having fun, sitting on, waiting on the sun to go down.
I'm telling you, it's 5 o'clock someplace.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, brother. Hey, let's go ahead and get to our special guest. She is actually waiting in the back line, online backstage, but we're going to bring her on here. Her name is Kayleigh McCall again, and I'll introduce her to you as we get on here.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Kayleigh, how are you tonight?
Doing good.
So where are you right now, and what are you doing?
So I actually got to come home. I had an early week. I won't have to do any runs tomorrow, which is pretty nice. So I have a long weekend.
Okay, I couldn't tell if you was in your house or if you were in your truck. You know,
I'm at home.
You're at home. Okay, it's kind of dark behind you. So anyway, did you have a good day of trucking?
I did. I had a really good day.
Good deal. Good deal. So let's go ahead and get this interview started. I've heard a lot about you, and you was actually recommended for the interview by Kayleigh McLaughlin. I think I say her last name right. I may butcher her last name a little bit, but hey, she'll forgive me. But let's go and get started. Tell us a little bit about how you got into trucking.
Sure. So trucks and vehicles of pretty much any kind have always been a fascination of mine. I grew up around drag racers and racers, you know, of lots of different types, motorcycles, dirt track, everything. So I got divorced in 2015, and I needed a job, basically. So I started driving school buses, got my Class B CDLs, started driving school buses. I did that for a few years. I really loved it. I really loved having the same schedule as my kids, but single mom, I needed some more money. So I went back to school and got my Class A's. After that, I worked in the concrete construction industry for several years. Also really enjoyed that. I'm definitely the type that likes hard work.
Yeah.
But eventually it was time for me to move on from them, get some over the road experience. And so I came over to Snyder.
Okay. All right. So, where do you live at? What state are you in?
Georgia. I'm from Georgia.
Okay, and if you want to, it's fine. If you don't want to, it's fine too. What town do you live in? 'Cause I live in Georgia also. I live in Valdosta, Georgia.
So I'm from a little town called Claxton, Georgia, the fruitcake capital of the world.
You know. I was telling somebody that.
Are we talking people fruitcake, or are we talking fruitcake? I'm just kidding.
Well, hey, it is Georgia there, Steve.
Well, See what I tell you? Questions just pop in my head and they just come out. I have no idea. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just curious.
Hey, for all my Georgia people, hey, you know what? That's Steve Brand. Hey, he lives in Tip City, Ohio. I can give you his number if you want to call him.
Hey, like I always say, born and raised in Missouri, you got to show me. Now I live in a state of useless nuts.
That's right, Buckeye. Yeah,
the useless nut. Okay.
All right. Hey, let's get back to our interview here. So, Kayleigh, tell us a little bit about. So you. All right. Let me go back to this. Claxton, Georgia. So I was telling somebody today that, and I was wrong about this, but I was telling them that you live where the Claxton chicken farm is. Is that true or is that not true?
Yeah, the Claxton Poultry. Yes, that is the town that I live in.
Okay, now in geographical location, you are close to Savannah, right?
Yes,
okay.
about 50 miles.
About 50 miles. So you're probably about 2.5 hours from Valdosta.
Somewhere thereabouts, yeah.
So are you close to Rennes, Georgia?
Probably about the same distance from Valdosta, about 2.5 hours, probably 2.
Okay, all right, but how far is Claxton from Rennes?
Let's see, probably about 2 hours, something like that.
Oh, really? So
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I thought it'd be a little closer. Okay, all right. So tell us a little bit about you and your family. What you like to do on your off time. Just go into that a little bit.
Okay. All right. So I'm 33 years old. I have 4 children. They have a boy and 3 girls. My son will be 20 years old this year. And then I have a 15-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old daughter, and a soon-to-be 11-year-old daughter. I grew up on a farm. I still live on that same farm. Super proud that I still live on that same farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm at home, I enjoy hanging out with our pets. We ride UTVs and ATVs on the weekends a lot of the time. I just enjoy hanging out with my family and spending time with them.
Yeah. So tell me about the UTV. Is that like a side by side?
Side by side. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she lives in Georgia. I know what she's talking about because we all like to ride the dirt roads down here. Okay.
Yeah.
So hey, I got it. Hey, I got a Jeep Sahara. So hey, we take the top down. We go riding the dirt roads just to be riding somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your animals, because I've heard a little bit about this.
Yes, so we have 3 dogs, a cat, 2 parakeets, 2 guinea pigs, and a hamster.
Yeah.
And they all live inside.
I think Steve wants to say something there. I can see it on his face.
No, that's impressive. I like that. We have inherited a small red fox. We come home from Tennessee. We went down to Maryville, Tennessee. That's where my daughter lives. Over the weekend for Father's Day, we come home Monday, and my wife hollered at me. And out on the back patio, back porch, we got a couple chairs sitting there, and she goes, "Look at this." And there was a little red fox there, and he looked frail as all could be. So he's probably looking for something to eat. Now, my neighbor has a chicken pen with a bunch of chickens.
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling they let them chickens out, they're going to be missing a chicken or 2.
Probably.
I don't know. Just saying. But yeah. I haven't seen a little feller since Monday, so I don't know where he's at.
Yeah, I was at your house up there in Tip City, Ohio, when your grand dog went outside and was eyeing those chickens. So yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, she likes to run to the pen and run them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, but, yeah. All right, so tell us about what you do on a daily basis. Are you OTR? Are you regional, or are you just local?
So I started out regional, just regional dry van loads, but now I'm dedicated port drayage for Schneider. We deliver to several different locations in the Southeast United States.
Okay, so so you don't actually know what's coming in on the containers, right? So are you delivering to like distribution centers such as like Dollar General or Walmart or anywhere like that?
Similar places, yes.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So the same with Steve and I. Steve and I, we run LTL, and we never know, because we run line haul, so I don't have a clue on what's on my trailers. Just according to the manifest, or whether it's hazmat or not. But good deal, good deal. So tell me, what are some of the challenges that you face every day on the road as a truck driver?
Well, I think I've been pretty fortunate. Not a whole lot of weird issues that other drivers themselves don't face. Breakdowns, maintenance, that kind of thing. Probably one of the most difficult things as a container hauler that I have to deal with is closing my container doors. That is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Because those containers are beat up, abused, they're warped, corroded. Sometimes they just don't want to close.
Yeah, yeah. How many?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to ask, do you run a sleeper? You run
Yes.
day cab?
Sleeper. Mm-hmm.
So you run regional. So are you gone like a Monday through Friday or
Yes.
something like that? Do you get to come by the house once or twice a week, or how's that work?
Yes, actually. Since I live so close to Savannah, I'm frequently able to swing by and spend the night at home.
See, that right there is a part of trucking that a lot of people are not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Even nowadays, that's why we got to get the word out that you can be like Tim and I, LTL, home every day, home every night. You're regional. Some people go cross country. They're gone, 30, 60, 90 days. Who knows? I know some guys, they stay gone 6 months.
Yeah.
That's their choice. A lot of that is owner operators.
Mm-hmm.
But, and real quick, while I got the mic here, so to speak, what intrigued you about Schneider? With all these companies out here, what intrigued you about Schneider? I hear a lot of good things about Schneider.
Yeah, so one of the biggest reasons that I chose to apply with Schneider, my instructors from CDL school both worked for Schneider at different points in their careers, and I also I liked Schneider's safety stance. Like pay wasn't like a huge deal for me, so I wasn't like I'm looking for the highest paying company out there. That wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for the company that had a good safety stance and would be willing to work with me. Being as I have 4 children still living at home, I wanted to be able to, if I say I need to be home at this day, and they're going to try their best to get me there, and that's what they've always done.
Okay.
All right, so we actually got a comment on the screen here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It says, "Does Schneider still do skid pad training for their new drivers?"
No skid pad training.
Skid pad. I'm sorry. So tell me, hey, I'm clueless. So what is skid pad training?
So that would be like spray wet down the pavement, and they would put the truck into a skid situation. So either like a jackknife or some sort of loss of control situation.
Okay, I got you.
Now, Tim, what's cool about it is they put big arms outside of the trailer so it never tips over.
I've seen that.
But it gives you that feeling that it's going to tip over.
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to drive for Western Auto back in the 70s, and they put him through that training. And he said that is awesome. That is something you never forget. Once you do it, like you said, you're scared, you're terrified. Once you get used to them arms being there, then you get a little braver to put it more in to challenge you. And of course, you run the Southeast down there, so you don't experience what we experience up here, the snow. But Mother Nature's bringing snow farther south to y'all. So.
Oh yeah. So the furthest like north and I guess northwest that I go is into Kentucky. So we do get some snow up in Kentucky and Tennessee.
Right.
Okay.
But you do get torrential rains down there, so that's just as bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when the hurricane season, we're in hurricane season right now. So
definitely.
So Rich Frazier here. Rich Frazier is actually out of Minnesota. He says turning the cab in a turning position helps close the doors. Do you find that to be true, or
nope?
Okay. Well, I know. I know level ground helps close the door though for sure. So
Mm-hmm.
So I can just imagine. So. You said that, reaching up there, trying to close some of those container doors. How tall are you?
So I am a whole 5 foot tall. That's it. So I actually wind up climbing up on the bumper most of the time, if just to get more leverage.
Yeah, yeah. So how so what's some other challenges that you have found being 5 foot,
So I keep a little step ladder in the truck. So if I need to put coolant in, if I need to add oil, anything that's on top of the motor, I need a stool for, or I'm going to be climbing like a little monkey.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. I got you. So do you ever find it difficult doing some of the task that goes along with trucking? Do you find some things difficult that you've had to make allowances for somehow? I mean,
Sometimes, most everything though, I've found a workaround pretty much. So a way that works for me.
okay, all right. So yeah, there's a workaround for everything. So,
Mhm.
and we all have our little, ways of doing things that kind of makes the job easier. I guess called a trucking hack, if you would say,
Yeah.
a trucking hack. So, just like myself, if there's something that I can't do, I don't mind asking for help. So I'll go
Yes.
get somebody to help me out. So
Yes.
anyway, Steve, you got another question?
On that note, with you being a young lady,
Mhm.
do you have difficulties from other drivers because you are a female?
So not really, and I'm probably like I don't look approachable out on the road. I guess you could say. So, like, my face right now is not what people see, at truck stops. I don't look like someone they want to talk to out there. I usually look kind of mean, so I don't get approached very often.
Okay, because I've been out here 33 years, and
Mhm.
back 33 years ago, it was a stereotypical. It's a man's world, and
Yes.
a lot of people got looked down on if you was a minority, such yourself,
Mhm.
females, and now that we're getting more females in, I was wondering how you're being treated. You know, I
Yeah.
I don't bend my, break my back to go help, but if I see anybody struggling, man, woman,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
short, tall, whatever, I will go offer my services, and
Sure.
but I don't want to push myself on anybody.
Mhm.
But hey, you need a hand, and I just didn't know because I go out and I go back, so I don't deal
Yeah.
with customers and stuff. Like if you're at a Walmart distribution and you're having trouble with your doors,
Mhm.
do they sit in the truck and talk about you on the radio, or do they actually get out and come help?
So if I run into a situation where like I just cannot do it by myself, I'm gonna go find somebody to help me because I've got to get the door shut. So I'm gonna find somebody.
Okay, okay.
So let's tackle some of these other comments because I got quite a few
Okay.
comments coming in here. So do you use zip ties on the container locks?
Yes. So there are 4 pins that lock the box of the container to the chassis,
Hmm.
one on each corner. Um, the only thing that keeps the pin in the box and doesn't, is the zip tie pretty much because road vibrations will make those pins back out. So if you
Hmm.
don't have a zip tie on there, the latch is just a little piece of metal that flops down and holds the pin handle.
Hmm.
That's it. That's all that's holding it in there. 4 zip ties.
Okay. And Steve, I don't know if you in Tip City, Ohio, but we actually do have containers down here. I don't know if you have them come up through there in Dayton, but I've actually had to deal with that, making sure that the zip ties were in there and the locks were in the proper places and stuff like that. Do y'all deal with that, Steve?
I don't deal with it. I've never dealt with a container. Uh,
Hmm.
our terminal down the road, 45 miles in Columbus, they have a rail side department, whatever,
Right.
and they run back and forth Chicago. They run down the rail yard, Cincinnati, over into Columbus. But me myself, I've never dealt with a container, but they do have material hanging up on our boards, on the cork boards and everything. And I kind of look at it, like, okay, why is this? Why is that? I hear guys talk about they get a container from their meat driver and the pins are not even down.
Hmm.
Have you ever had experienced that situation? They didn't set the container properly or something?
Yes. So I myself do not actually have to go into the ports. We have a group of owner operators that pull out of the port for us, and we pick it up from a yard pretty much next door to the ports. there have been quite a few times where I've gotten there to pick up my load, and there was, either a pin out. And so sometimes, you can hit it a couple of times with a hammer or even just push it in with your hand and it'll go right back in, no problem. Every now and then, though, the box is sitting slightly crooked on the chassis and there's just nothing you can do about it. It's got to go back to the port so that they can reposition the box.
Mm. Yeah, and I think you just answered Danny Smith's question there that you don't go into the port. So his question was, "What's it like going into the ports? Is it very time consuming?" I've got to apologize here to Rich Fraser. He's not out of Minnesota. He's out of Rockford, Illinois. So anyway, before I forget it here, this must be one of your children.
Yes, looks like it.
All right,
hi youngin. Hi youngin, how you doing?
So let me tell you, the listening audience out there, and let me remind you that you can call the show at 229-740-0912. I'll put you on air if you want to talk to Kayleigh, and I'd appreciate it if some of you would call in and give her some questions. We're open to anything. But
Sure.
with that said, Kayleigh, since the pandemic happened and a lot of the shippers and receivers made it a little bit more difficult for us to go into their buildings, did you find that to be a problem on your end too when you was making deliveries?
Yes. So in the beginning of my career with Schneider, like I said, I was a regional driver, so I was going everywhere. There were quite a few places where you either had to call on the phone to get let in the gate, or you went through like a kiosk type situation outside their gate. Either being able to understand them over their speakers, or not being able to get the kiosks to function to get in their yard. It was a hassle.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and even difficult. How difficult was it to find like a restroom or somewhere that you could go in and take a break or anything? Was it? Did you find that difficult to find a restroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you do drop and hooks, or do you actually do live unload sometimes?
Most of what I do is drop and hook, but we do have several locations that are live unload.
Okay. All right. So, well, my next question to you is, how many days are you out there on the road whenever you're at work?
So I'm out for 5 to 6 days. Typically 5 days. The only time I'd be out 6 is if I had some sort of complication during the week. But 5 days is my normal.
Okay. All right. And Snyder is pretty much a company that tries to get you back home. They get you a dispatch back so you can be home on a regular basis.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think we've asked this question yet, but how long have you been with Snyder?
So August will be 2 years that I've been with Schneider.
Okay. And how many years have you had your CDL?
Altogether will be 7 years.
7 years. Okay. So I could technically say she's been in the industry for 7 years there, Steve.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit more about I know we're all over the place. Hey, we're not professionals. We're amateurs here. We all over the place. So tell me a little bit more about your backstory there. I hear something about a pastry chef.
Yes. So before I got into driving, that's what I did. Most of what I did was from home. I did custom cakes and cookies and that kind of thing from home while I was raising my kids when they were babies. And then later on, I actually worked for Georgia Fruitcake, which is you could call it the opponent, the competition, whatever you want to call it, for Clax Fruitcake. We're in the same town, and I worked for them for a while. And it's something I really enjoyed doing, but I just got burnt out on it, and now I hardly bake at all.
Okay. All right. So I'll segue into this. So being a cook and all that, what do you do on a daily basis or weekly basis? Do you go and stop at the truck stops and eat, or what do you do?
So I cook in my truck, actually. So I have a really nice setup in there. If anybody's on TikTok, they can find my TikTok. That's most of what I post is, cooking videos, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. So tell me, All right, cooking in the truck. All right, now Steve and I don't hold it against us. We day cab guys, okay? We're day
Yep.
cab guys, okay? So, how do you cook in a truck? I mean, you got a stove, you got a Instapot, a crock pot. I mean, how do you do that?
So I have several different tools. Probably the one I use the most is I have a 10-inch electric skillet. I use that the most, do like a one pot type of meal thing, just because it's quick and easy, easy cleanup. I do have a mini Instant Pot and one of the little George Foreman's. Of course, I have a microwave, refrigerator, that kind of thing.
Okay, all
But I
right,
can pretty much cook anything I want to in my truck.
all right, all right. Steve?
Okay, with that being said, I know I've been with my company for 26 years, but I started trucking in '89, so I had about 7 years on the road.
Yeah.
We had a couple friends of mine that was trying to put a skillet in there, and I mean, this one particular guy, we was at a place waiting to unload the next morning. We got in there the night before, and he decided he's going to fry up some hamburgers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, he worked for the same person I worked for. I got in that truck, and there was grease all over the headliner. How messy is it whenever you're doing that? I see some people on TikTok doing that, and that's pretty neat to me.
Yeah.
My last truck, I did have a microwave, which was kind of cool. Throwing a bag of popcorn, but you guys out on the road have went through the pandemic, and you've had to make changes.
Yes.
So how messy does it get? I guess.
So mine does not get messy, and that's just because, like I said, I know a lot of people will use like TV trays or like dinner trays and cook like in their sleeper area. I actually have a 20 by 40 folding like picnic table type of deal that rests from my dash to my passenger seat. That becomes my kitchen. That's my counter space. So anything that I do is on that table. I roll the window down if I need to let out, like smoke, steam, whatever. If I'm cooking anything that might be a little bit greasy, I have a little thing that I put over the pan to keep any splatter down to a minimum. And I use a lot of Dawn Power Wash to clean up.
So, Steve, we need to find out where she's parking out while she's cooking, and if she rolls the window down, we can just do a drive-by, like a drive-in, and say, "Hey, order our food right there."
Well, there you go. Pull up to the driver's window, order, go around the truck, come up to passenger side, and get it. Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
By the way, do you ever get up to East Tennessee? I go down to exit 141, so maybe I can time it right. I got lunch. There you go. Call ahead, put in my order.
Goodness.
I just have to say, with modern technology and with the adaptability that you had to do and you have to do every day, cooking and everything, it's really different because I basically had a lawn chair, fold up lawn chair underneath the sleeper. I had me a little gas grill, find me a little store in the town or something, drop my trailer, go up, get a couple steaks or something, and I'd do it on the catwalk. Yep. I mean, everything was basically external.
Mm-hmm.
So with modern technology, it just, I've seen some of the great big sleepers. They got showers, they got everything in them and stuff. But seeing y'all in your regular trucks and your adaptability of, like you said, you got a mini George Foreman and all that. That is just, I like that.
So before we go to the bottom of the hour, we are at the bottom of the hour. I want to ask you this last question. Danny Smith actually is an OTR driver also, and Danny Smith drives for Big G Express, and he wants to know, what's your go-to meal that you cook in your truck?
So definitely a one-pot type of deal. So I like to make easy, quick meals with ramen noodles. You can add all kind of stuff to ramen noodles to, dress them up, make them better. You don't have to use that high sodium seasoning packet. A lot of times I just use the noodles, and they're like 50 cents a pack. Throw you in some chicken or pork or, steak, some vegetables. Got a nice meal. It'll fill you up.
Okay. All right. My listening audience, y'all don't go nowhere. Y'all will probably want to see this video. It gives you a little bit of insight on into Kayleigh and the truck that she drives, and it's
Mhm.
just a little good little overview on her. So y'all just stay tuned, and we'll talk about this after the break. Okay. I was having difficulties tonight to play in the video that we played earlier.
I'm from a very small town in the country. I have 4 children. We have a whole bunch of pets. My kids are 18, 15, 12, and 10. My journey started in 2015. I got my Class B license to drive a school bus. I did that for 2 years and I loved it. I love the kids. Pay was not there, and so I went back to school. I went to work for a concrete construction company driving a mixer truck. I became a Schneider driver in August of 2020. When I got my CDLs, I was in a rough place and I needed something to help me feel better about me, to empower myself. And so this has done it. I knew when I came to Schneider that I wanted to eventually be a trainer, mostly just because every company everywhere needs female trainers. So I knew that that was something that I wanted and needed to do. As the featured female truck driver, this is an opportunity to encourage other women that may be on the fence about becoming a truck driver to do it, to just do it, do the thing. There's nothing holding you back. Go for it. I want to be able to empower women, just for them to be able to look at me and say, hey, she can do it. Maybe I can too. This is an industry that's becoming more and more female oriented, and I think it's great. I would definitely encourage women to become truck drivers. It makes you feel great to be able to control this huge piece of machinery and do it well. It's not easy, but once you've learned it, gotten the hang of it, it's one of the best feelings in the world. The most challenging thing that I've run into so far is definitely some of the more physical parts of the job. I'm 5 foot tall and about 110 pounds, so some things are way more difficult for me to do. I have to adapt, figure out a different way to do them, so it might take me a little bit longer. I might even have to go and find someone to come and help me, but I'm still going to get the job done, just in my own way. I do think women make good drivers. There's absolutely no reason for them to think, because they're female that they can't do it. Just do it. You'll never know what's going to happen or where you'll end up if you don't try.
All right, we're back, and we've got a caller on the line here, Kayleigh. So I got someone here that wants to talk to you. Caller, if you could introduce yourself and you have the floor.
Hi, my name's Reese. I'm a driver trainer with Prime. I'm also related to Kayleigh. I'm her stepdad.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you on the. It's good to have you on the show. Would say hi to Kayleigh.
Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Hi.
So, one of the things that you guys were broaching on a little bit, I'm a diabetic out here. And so with regards to trying to find food, trying to cook food on the trucks, it's actually quite difficult for people like me in my condition trying to eat healthy. And so she actually helped me out finding some of the things that I needed to be able to eat better.
Yeah, I can imagine being a diabetic and trying to run OTR there would be difficult. So let me ask Kayleigh this question. So what's some of the advice that you gave him that you could give other drivers that would absolutely help them out as far as nutrition?
All right, so cooking your own food, that way you can manage what is in your meal, is definitely the biggest piece of advice.
Okay, all right.
So most of the time, your doctor tells you what's safe and what's not, so you know better than anybody else.
Okay, I don't think that the caller heard you. I'm going to take my earphones out so he can hear you. So go ahead.
All right, so cooking your own meals is always my biggest piece of advice. most time you're advised by your doctor, what is safe to eat and what isn't safe to eat. So you would know better than, anywhere else, cooking your own meals. You know what's in there. You can control what you're eating.
Okay. All right. Hey, caller, you got any more questions or any more comments for Kayleigh?
Just something else that you were talking about the bathroom access.
Yes.
That's one of the hardest things for us out here. And it's amazing, even though COVID seems to mostly have passed on, a lot of the shippers and receivers are still using it as an excuse to not let us use their facilities. We're still having to use these porta potties that are not getting cleaned out. And they use COVID as an excuse, but that seems to have been gone. And
right.
The fact that we're getting treated like second-class citizens out here sometimes makes our job a lot harder than it needs to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. And at some point, the shippers and receiver needs to realize that, without us, the truckers, that, they wouldn't have their product there, to ship out or to receive. And they need to grant us access to clean facilities, bathrooms, break rooms, and, the like, just the human necessities that we need while we're out down the road. Steve or Kayleigh, y'all want to speak to that?
So I've been fortunate in the customers that I'm delivering to now. I don't have that problem, thank God. But there were definitely some places that I went to previously when we were at peak shutdown time where we were not allowed access.
Okay, all right. Well, caller, I got another call coming in on the line, so we appreciate your call. Any last words you want to say?
No, sir. Just y'all keep doing what you're doing, and y'all have a nice evening.
Thank you, sir, and truck safe.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, let me get this other call here. Mr. Danny Smith's calling in, so as soon as he...
Hello.
Hey, Danny, this is Tim Taylor on the Truckers Voices. You got a question for Kayleigh tonight?
Yeah, great show tonight, guys. Kayleigh, I enjoy listening to this. I just had one question. How hard has it been for you to balance your family life and driving the truck, especially being a single parent?
Yes, I'm not single anymore, so I do have pretty good backup at home to help out with that kind of thing. But it usually turns out that if something weird is going to happen, I'm not going to be home to deal with it. I've got to deal with it on the phone. So it's summertime now. Just got home. One of my girls were in the truck with me for the week. Week before last, had one of my other girls, and we'll do that for the remainder of the summer. Every other week, I'll have another kid with me.
I got you. They're great. That's great that they're able to go with you.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's a great show. You're an inspiration for women to see you out here doing your thing and being able to promote the trucking industry. I just appreciate it.
Thank you.
Danny, before you hang up, let me say this. Kayleigh, Danny has been in the trucking industry for over 40, how many years, Danny?
You gonna tell my age. I've been at this for about 42 years.
42 years, and he's never had an accident.
Awesome.
Yeah, so he is a driver to look up to, and he is one of my role models. So anyway, Danny, thank you for calling the show.
All right, great show.
All right, bye-bye. All righty. So yeah, Danny's a great guy, great driver. I've had a great relationship with Danny. Did quite a few things with him over the years as far as safety related and all that. Kayleigh, you talked about taking your kids on the road with you. Have you ever taken every one of them with you at one time?
So I can only take one at a time, unfortunately. And actually, that's okay. That's fine. I'm okay with just one at a time.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, so what do you have all girls? Is that right?
Boy and 3 girls.
Okay. Boy and 3 girls. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they say when they're out there in the truck? What's some of the comments that they say?
Most of the time, they're just impressed that I don't use GPS most of the time. They have no idea how I remember how to get places.
Yeah, well, that is something that us truckers, we learn, and especially if
Oh,
we
yeah.
go to the same places all the time. The GPS
Mhm.
is nice when you don't know where you're going, and especially if you got a truck GPS,
Yes.
it can be nice to have. As a lady trucker, what are you
Mhm.
doing personally to promote the industry to the younger ladies?
Yes. So I've been featured quite a few articles about recruiting the younger generation, and I do everything I can to put myself out there, make myself available for, women in my community and, just any female in general that has any questions or, wants any kind of advice about either getting their CDL or continuing on in this industry. I want to be available to them and, not just as someone to look up to, or as a role model. I want them to be able to speak with me personally if they have any kind of questions.
Okay, so you make yourself very, very available to answer any questions that
Yes.
some of the younger motors have. Steve, I don't want to hog all the conversation. I can see you got something going on there.
No,
No.
I noticed you said something about driver training. Are
Mhm.
you training right now? I mean,
Yes, I'm a trainer. Mhm.
you. How long do you take your trainees with you?
So they are with me for 5 days at a time. If they were a trainee that were getting their CDL through Schneider, it would be a 2 week on the road. I do not take those students, so I only have students that already have their CDLs.
Okay, okay. Now, are they from your southeast region, or do they come in from all over?
Most of them will be out of the Atlanta operating center, or that's where they did their training because that's where I'm based out of. Um, I do get them from our other operating centers occasionally, but most of them will be out of the southeast area.
Okay.
So, what does your training consist of there at Snyder? Take us through a day in the life of a. Now, I heard it. I didn't hear it as a trainer. I heard it as a driver engineer.
Mhm.
So, what's the
So,
day in the life of a driver engineer? What would you be teaching me as a student?
so I have more of a hands-off approach to teaching. I want them to do everything without me standing over them saying, "Do this, do this, do this." I want them to do it to be able to, create a pattern and a memory of what they need to be doing. By the time that they get to me, they should already know all of these things. I'm just making sure that they can operate our tablets, make sure that they understand hours of service, making sure that they can back a trailer, um, learning how to get a shower at the truck stop, how to park somewhere safe, those kinds of things.
Okay, so actually, on the job training, real life before you actually really cut them loose. Now,
Yes.
what from start to finish? How long does it take someone to go through Snyder's training program?
So for an inexperienced driver, someone that's coming in straight out of CDL school, is a 3 week program. They'll do 2 weeks at an operating center. They'll have classroom and backing yard time, and during that time, they'll be learning all of Schneider's, Schneider's safety stances, all of our procedures, um, and they'll, said that's the make or break time. Then when they come to me for week 3, that's when we're saying, okay, yeah, you're okay to go out on the road now.
Okay, all right. Um, so with that, what's my? I just lost my question. It just went right out of my head there. Steve, I need your help on this one, man.
Oh, you're killing me, dude. You're killing me.
I had a question and it just left me. It just
It
left me.
just went. Phew, it's
Oh,
gone.
I know what I was going to say. Hey, let's circle back to
Okay.
the cement truck driver. So, how long was you a cement truck driver?
So for about 2 years, I drove concrete trucks.
Now, that's
Mhm.
interesting to me. Now, how difficult was that?
So it's a moving liquid load,
Yeah.
which is always fun. Um, You do not need a tanker endorsement to drive a concrete truck unless you are actually hauling the tankers. That's the only time you would need one of those. But the actual mixer trucks, you don't need that endorsement. Learning, what does this sound dry? Do I need to add more water? It's a physical job. There's chute attachments that you have to put on the trucks. They weigh, depending on what they're made out of, anywhere from 25 to 50 pounds a piece. And there's usually 3 of them.
Okay. All right. Hey, I got a comment here. It says here that let's see. For some reason, it's loading really slow now. Anyway, there it is. There it comes. I don't know.
That's my mother-in-law.
Okay. You're the best, girl. So anyway, I was just wondering who some of these people are. So
That's my mother-in-law.
well, I appreciate all the new viewers tonight. We got quite a few new viewers tonight, so you must be pretty popular there. But so with the cement truck driver, did you ever find yourself in some pretty difficult situations? Because I know those things are pretty heavy, and you can sink them pretty fast. So did you ever sink one of them?
Yes. Oh, quite a few times. Quite a few times. If it had been raining all day, the day before and throughout the night, we pretty much already knew the next day that someone was going to get stuck. It wasn't a, hey, we might get stuck. We're going to get stuck somewhere.
Okay. Got a call in here. So let's go to the phone line here. Caller, go ahead. I think we got Mr. Scott Post on the line here. Scott, go ahead with your question. Oh, let me put him on speaker. Sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
Good evening, Kayleigh. Thank you for being such a great ambassador to the industry and inspiring others to come into the industry and what you're doing to get more women into the industry. And you're showing that if you can do it, it can be done. I was going to ask what you do for training for planning trips. What tips do you give the drivers to plan a over-the-road trip when you're training them?
All right, so Schneider has this really nice app that they have us teach. Now it's like a trip plan app. It pulls information from our hours of service and from our workflow, so our work assignment. It pulls all that together into that app and makes it easier for them to trip plan. I also highly, highly, highly recommend using satellite view on Google Maps, not for directions, but to get an idea of what you're going into. What does this warehouse look like? Where's the entrance? Where's the exit? What are some things that might be in my way? What do the streets going up to it look like? So that's one of the biggest tools that I use is a satellite view.
Yeah. And I think myself and Steve on some stuff that we've done, we've actually used satellite view when we've been doing some safety stuff before, because going into some areas that we didn't know, we would actually pull that up. And it is a very, very good tool to use. Scott, you got anything else?
We're getting ready in Minnesota to have our truck driving championship Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to be moving trucks around town to get them on site. And I was wondering if you had ever done any truck driving championships in Georgia, or and we'd like to invite you to Safety Drive for a cure. Tim can tell you more about that. But I was wondering if you had participated in the truck driving championships at all.
No, I have not. But actually, when I was driving school buses, participated in what they call a rodeo. So basically just, who can back a bus the best, pretty much.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a little bit more about our Safety Drive for Cure. And before the end of the show is off, we got about 10 minutes left. But Scott, thank you for calling the show tonight.
Thank you, Jim.
All righty. Bye-bye. Okay, so a couple questions here we'll put up on screen here. This is Scott's wife here. She put up there, when training, is there some language barrier with the new CDL holders?
So I have only ever had one student where there was like a little bit of trouble, and not necessarily, and it was just more of a, English was his second language. And so I would just, have to come up with a different word, like he might, or explain what I meant with some terms. But other than that, it hasn't really been a huge thing.
Okay. Hey, on that, I can actually go and say, you only train female drivers, or do you train female and male drivers?
I train both female and male drivers.
Okay, all right. Now,
Mhm.
the ultimate question there is, how difficult is that having a male student in the truck with you?
So they don't actually stay in the sleeper. Every night we will get a hotel room, and they get to stay in a hotel room every night.
Okay, all right, good deal, good deal. So I wondered how that worked. Now, if it's a female, the same thing. Y'all get your own motel rooms also if you're training.
They actually stay in the truck with me now. When we had more COVID restrictions, then we would do a hotel every night.
Yeah.
I stay in my truck every night just because that's my space. That's where I'm comfortable at. We do have the option of the trainer going into the hotel room and the student staying in the truck. But like I said, that's my space. So that's where I want to be at.
Right, right, right.
Mhm.
Before I throw the next comment up on the screen there, Steve, you got anything on the noodle there?
Yeah, just because you've been sleeping in the truck, do you find it a little difficult the first night at home because you've got so much space, you've got so much room? Do you find it a little difficult to maybe get to sleep? You're kind of out of your. I know it's your home, but the truck has been your home for 5 days. You know what I'm trying to
Mhm.
say?
Yeah.
I
Everything
used
sounds different. Everything feels different. Yeah.
right, yeah. It's anytime you got to go to the bathroom, you got to get fully dressed. You got to walk across the parking lot. If it's raining, it's snowing, it's whatever.
Mhm.
Like you said, you touched on it. Parking well lit areas, safety, security. But
Yes.
I pulled a reefer for a brief period of time, and you get to hearing that reefer behind you, and you come home. It's
You
peaceful.
can't see
It's
it.
quiet. I used to make the joke when I went to work for the LTL carrier I'm with that, somebody said, "How you do that when you go home and sleep?" I said, "I get my wife to shake the bed because the truck shakes while it's running." I said, "She shakes the bed till I go to sleep, and then she quits shaking the bed. I'm good to go."
Mr. Danny Smith, he was a caller earlier on the phone. He wants to know what's the most interesting thing or place that you've ever delivered to.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. I guess there's been a lot of places with Snyder that I've delivered to that I thought were pretty cool, or just the area I was going through to get to that place was neat. I used to love delivering anywhere in Pennsylvania in the fall, just because the trees were turning. I could see all the pretty trees. Um, Definitely some of my more interesting stories would probably come from when I was with the concrete company, just because of the situations that I sometimes wound up in, back in the woods, or on a military base in the middle of nowhere where we didn't have an address. We just had coordinates and we hoped for the best.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Okay, so we're coming to the post trip part of the show, as we call it,
Okay.
and I do want to put a couple of pictures up here of you, and tell us about this picture here, Kayleigh.
Mhm.
Was this just for like your 2021 uh, driver? There.
So that's when
You,
they took that picture. That way they did a whole photo shoot. But if you go into any of our operating centers, pretty much anywhere in the country, you'll find that picture on a recruitment card somewhere in their building.
okay, all right. Hey, small town girl from Georgia. You're all over the nation, right?
Yep.
All right. Next picture here is you standing beside that picture there. So where was you at there?
So that was in Green Bay at a customer conference. So Schneider does a big conference with their biggest customers every year, and this particular one this past year they invited three of us. Kayleigh was one of the other drivers. They invited us to speak to those customers about what drivers experienced at their locations, what we experienced every day on the road, situations we had to deal with, experiences we'd had. And we were invited to be very blunt and honest about what we were dealing with so that we could, because the people that were in that room were the people that could make changes. So they needed to know the driver experience.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. So, Steve, before we actually close this show out, I've got one more question for Kayleigh. But how about you?
She's covered a lot. I just want to commend you, for what you're doing, raising children. Trucking is not an easy life. and fortunately, like we discussed earlier, there's so many sectors of trucking, from be home every day to be home once a month, once every couple months. And, and you made mention of the Pennsylvania thing of that is what I do miss about running coast to coast, is seeing the scenery. This is a beautiful country.
It is.
And if you get to enjoy the sights and everything, it is just, it's just outstanding. And, you make mental notes, or you even get a notebook. And when you retire or you go on vacation, you want to go to these places.
Oh, yes. I have a whole list.
Oh, yeah. So I think you pretty much covered about everything that I got. What you got left there, Tim?
Well, what I want to ask you, what would you say to the young driver, whether female or male, coming into the industry? How would you encourage him or her to get into this industry? What would you say to him or her?
Like I said in the video you played, you just got to do the thing. I mean, you don't know what you are capable of until you actually put forth the effort and do it. Don't let anyone stop you. You're the only one holding yourself back. Once you get in it, take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Don't rush. People make mistakes when they're in a hurry. So just take your time.
Absolutely. And that's one of my things is, I've always made mistakes. And the biggest factor in making mistakes was being in a hurry. And I look back on it and I was like, wow, I should have slowed down there, slow down. All right. So at the end of the show, we do one thing. You got something else, Steve?
Real quick, does Schneider go on your safety by the year or by the miles?
So by the mile, but we also get year rewards too. So like 1, 5, 15, 10, that kind of thing. So we do get yearly rewards, but by the mile for sure.
At this point in your career, how many safe driving miles do you have?
I have no idea, and I've been meaning to ask. I don't keep up with it myself.
Right.
Someone knows somewhere.
Right. Exactly.
Wait, Steve, I bet she's probably got about 700,000 or better.
What do you average per week?
Anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 a week. So I mean, I'm pretty good bit.
Yeah, I'd say million and a half, probably pretty close.
She's probably right there at a million miler. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So Kayleigh, at this point in the show, we do something a little different, little silly, but we try to get a point across. So with that said, I'm going to take it over to Speedo, that's Steve, and let him do his rant of the day. So just hang tight. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
All right. Here we go, drivers. Rant of the day. This is a pet peeve of mine. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But when you go in a restroom, get some sanity, please. Come on. Get some courtesy. Lift the lid. Do something. Wipe it off. I mean, come on. This is disgusting. And something else, too. You go in the back. Did your mama not teach you to wash your hands? Good grief. Go in, go to the bathroom, and they walk right out. Are you kidding me? Okay.
All right. We're right here at 9 o'clock. We always cut it off at 9 o'clock. It's been great. Kayleigh, thank you for coming on. You've been very insightful, and we would love to have you on again in the future. But I just hope that you have a great day. I hope you truck safe, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Steve?
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for promoting our industry. Continue to promote our industry. We need the young and upcoming. Just thank you. Thank you for being safe. Appreciate you coming on tonight. I learned a lot. I've never done drayage. Somebody commented about that. I guess I, call it rail boxes, but thank you. I mean, you give me some insight, and maybe I'll see you out on the road somewhere.
Maybe so.
So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do. And like I always say, remember, the most important trip is the trip home.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a safe day tomorrow out there. And as I always say, y'all look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves. With that said, panel, y'all just hold tight for a minute till we go off air, and y'all have a good one. See you next Thursday. We're going to have a special guest on. We're going to have a lady on from Truckers Against Trafficking. Her name is Laura Cyrus. We're going to talk about human trafficking next week. Okay. So see y'all.
I believe in God.